Hello and welcome to the Phoenix 5.0 Info Show. I'm your host, Lieutenant Vince Lewis with the Phoenix Police Public Affairs Bureau, coming to you once again from Phoenix Police Headquarters in beautiful downtown Phoenix, 7th Avenue in Washington. You want to stop by, we're here 24/7 to serve your police needs. I want to talk about back to school, but I want to welcome first the guests, my very special guests, returning to the show from the Traffic Safety and Education Unit. Sergeant Justin Wood, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks. And then Officer Steve Reeves, motor officer from the same unit.
Yes. Yep.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you just cut some social media for us too, talking about some motorcycle safety.
Yes, just went over some motorcycle safety tips so we can kind of get some good information out to the public.
Cool. All right. Well, watch for that on our social media channels. Thank you for that. We're going to touch a little bit on that, but again, I want to kind of back up, talk about the back to school safety. Justin, you and I did this about a year ago. I want to bring in the same debate now, the understanding of school zones, which is pretty important, right? I mean, we treat school zones like hollowed ground as far as traffic goes, right?
They are. Just because of the amount of pedestrians and bicyclists that flow through them on their way to and from school every day, the immense amount of hazards that are present, it requires the extra attention of the police department as well as drivers on the roadway to ensure everybody is being safe.
Yeah, these are our kids. These are our students. This is our future, right? Our babies. We gotta be mindful of that. And I know as motorists, sometimes when things get into your way and throw your regular gig off, like all of a sudden a school zone pops up in your morning commute route, it's going to add some challenges, maybe even throw you off as a driver, right?
It can, yes. We've gone 2.5, 3 months now in summer vacation without these school zones being in effect. So now when they start coming back, it's very important to remember how to safely proceed through them.
All right, so let's talk about that. So when you're approaching a school zone, the first indication that you're going to get is probably you're in the neighborhood of a school, and sometimes you don't see them, they come around the corner, but you're going to see a sign that starts the school zone. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that sign is going to say something to the effect of school zone
Yeah,
approaching?
typically a large neon sign that tells you it's a school zone. In some of the areas, they also have a flashing light that lets you know to reduce speed, because some of our schools are along major roadways. So you'll get the signs that let you know it's a school zone, and that when they're flashing, the speed's already being reduced to typically about 35 miles an hour.
Okay. And then when you actually hit the first school zone sign, is it 15?
It is 15, and you must maintain that 15 miles an hour all the way through the school zone until you cross the crosswalk.
And it also says no passing. Does that mean I can't pass 15 miles an hour? What does that mean?
It means you cannot pass another vehicle.
Okay, wait. So if I'm in my car and I'm driving and it's a 2-lane road and there's somebody going the same direction next to me, passing means that my bumper's in front of theirs?
Correct. You've basically overtaken that vehicle, and which would indicate you're traveling at a higher speed than that other vehicle.
Okay. So if everybody's traveling the speed limit within the school zone at 15,
You're not going to have an issue.
okay. And then so this is all in preparation for the all important crosswalk.
Correct.
Right? All right. So who takes precedent? Is it the person with the sign, or the posted sign, or what do I do now? I'm approaching this crosswalk. Walk me through it.
The precedent in the crosswalk is obviously the pedestrians. The schools have crossing guards, should be wearing a traffic vest, and have the giant stop sign that we're all familiar with. They hold that up in the air, telling the motorists to stop until all of the children and pedestrians have crossed. You cannot proceed through the intersection until that crossing guard has departed from the crosswalk themselves.
Okay. So everybody's across the street. I'm moving through. I cross the crosswalk, and do I continue at that speed, or how does it work now? Because there's no sign facing me on past the crosswalk.
There's a sign at the crosswalk. Once you're past that, you can resume the speed of the roadway that you're on,
Which is probably
going to be 25 miles an hour in a residential area, up to, so again, like Steve said, some of our school zones on major roadways, you can proceed back up to that 40, 45 mile an hour speed limit.
Steve, school buses. They're going to be out in force. We're going to be
Right.
okay with that. Help me understand the rules now with the school buses stopping the sign and so forth. What am I looking for? What do I need to do as a driver?
Yeah, so when your school buses are out, they're going to pull over. They're going to be activating their stop signs that let you know that you cannot pass that school bus from either direction. Because essentially, they're going to be letting out children. Children are getting picked up. We don't want children crossing the road while traffic's moving, where they don't have good visibility. So you've got to keep that distance, and you've got to stay patient. Let them do their thing. Let their kids out, and until it's safe to proceed. Once the signs are back in and the buses started moving.
So we as drivers know the rules. The bus drivers know the rules, but these are kids and they're excited, right? Especially when they get out of school and where they want to go home. What do we need to look out for when they're dropping kids off?
Yeah. So when kids are being dropped off, you're going to have the kids that are going to run across the street to mom, right, or dad. You're going to have kids that are just overly excited, like you were saying, right? And so you don't know what they're going to do. They're not predictable. So it's a big reason why you want to wait. You want to be cognizant of those things. So yeah, I mean, you just don't know because they're a lot of them are young kids if they're still taking the buses and whatnot.
So let's talk about bicycles. Before we talk about pedestrians, let's go through all the traffic units. Bicycles. So somebody's riding their bike to school. What do they need to do as far as intermingling or coexisting with vehicles and pedestrians? What are the basic rules for cyclists?
Yeah, so good topic when it comes to bikes because we do bicycle safety as well. We put on bicycle courses for educating so that kids know that they need to wear a helmet, right? That they know they need to look left, right, left if they're crossing the road. They're going to be crossing the road more than likely to get to the school. That they need to ride with the flow of traffic and be visible.
Riding a bicycle is scary when you're in traffic. And we're allowed to ride as close as practical to the right side of the road on a bicycle. And if there's a bike lane, that's even better. But sometimes people ride bicycles on the sidewalk. Is that allowed?
Right. So it is allowed. They still have to yield to pedestrians that are walking on the sidewalk. But sometimes that's the safer option. And like I said, as long as they're yielding to pedestrians and riding safe on that sidewalk, not putting anybody in jeopardy, it's really not that bad of an idea.
Okay. Sarge, motorized bicycles. I guess a bunch of people got them for Christmas up in my neighborhood because they are everywhere. And I'm sure they're convenient. They're not as much out during the summertime, but I'd imagine we're going to start seeing them now when the weather cools in the fall and school starts again. What do we need to know about motorized bicycles?
The same rules apply. You got to abide by the speed limits because some of those bikes, they're quick. We've actually had a few stop doing in excess of 40, 45 miles an hour.
That's like a motorcycle.
Correct.
So what's the line? Where does the line, when does a motorized bicycle cross over to the line of an actual motorized motorcycle?
The primary method of propulsion has to be pedaled. And what you're describing and what we're seeing a lot of are those, not necessarily just the electric motorcycles that are becoming predominant as well. But with the electric bicycles, the same rules apply.
And you have to be 18.
Yes, I was just going to hit on that quick. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't understand that these scooters, electric bikes, you have to be 18 years old. They're fun, they're exciting, but they're not. Not everybody gets to take them out onto the roadways.
Okay, and then helmets, advised or required?
Required. You should always be wearing a helmet.
Perfect. Yeah, it makes sense to me. All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? Seatbelts. Justin, we're going to take this one?
Don't really have a seatbelt on a bicycle.
We're going back to talking about cars. Let me soften this transition a little bit. Let's go back to talking about cars.
So you don't have seatbelts on a bicycle, so in a vehicle, it's always advisable to be wearing your seatbelt. In fact, it is Arizona state law that you're required to be wearing a seatbelt in a vehicle that's 1972 or newer. Child passenger seats, highly, highly encouraged and required.
Up until, is it an age, is it a weight, is it a height, or is it just a good idea? As long as you can keep a kid in the seat?
Yeah, as long as you can keep the kid in the seat, the longer the better.
Because there's a social thing there too, right? When you're pulling up to school, you got to have a high amount of confidence to get out of a booster seat. High five your friends on the way to school.
I've still got a daughter that technically could probably sit in a booster seat that's well over the age. But yeah, you want to take all those things. Their age, their development, developmental level. Do their feet do they sit properly like an adult? Do their feet go over the seatbelt at a 90-degree angle and sit flat on the floor, right? And yeah, it is uncomfortable, but it's still safer, right? Injuries are a lot better, or they're not better, but you're more likely to survive with an injury than something more severe if you're not properly buckling yourself and your kids. And then the kids tend to mimic what the parents do. So by setting a good example and the parents wearing their seatbelt, kids tend to actually do more, or be more inclined to wear seatbelts, and it just helps to increase that
that safety
safety
hazard.
hazard.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think it's great. I mean, it's a little embarrassing when my kids have to remind me to put on my seatbelt, don't text and drive, and all those other things. But I'm proud of them because it means that they paid attention. So, texting and driving, legal, illegal.
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 Contrary to popular belief, we've been seeing a lot is people don't seem to understand that Arizona is a hands-free state, not just ears-free, meaning you cannot have a device supported by your body in any way. People talking on the speakerphone while holding their phone, can't do that. Holding it while you're looking at maps, you can't do that. It has to be secured and not supported by your body in any way.
And to that, that's our number one response typically when we pull someone over for being on their cell phone. Well, I'm just using my Google Maps. I was just entering my maps. And that seemed to be obviously a misconception. Like, oh, that's fine, you can use your maps, but again, make sure it's mounted where you can see it. It can be mounted, and you can touch it to adjust it, but you can't be using it, even for maps or just to change the song on your Spotify list for the So
Set the playlist and then hit the road.
Right.
Is it a primary offense or a secondary offense? Meaning, can you stop somebody for that reason, or is it part of the investigation after you've already gotten a traffic violation and pulled the car over?
Yeah, no, that's a primary offense. I stop people a lot for that. I explain to them. It's one of those offenses I like to let them know that the first offense they allow you to go to school for, because if you get a second offense, they increase the fine. It's not points on your license; doesn't go get your insurance, but the second offense increases. So I talk to them about it. I explain to them that they can only use it at when their vehicle's stopped, if it's an absolute emergency, or if you're completely hands-free.
Okay. So we've tried to do our best to avoid all of these distractions, but let's say we're in a rush, we're trying to get to school and work, so forth. We get in a fender bender. We have a collision. What do I need to do as a driver?
Most importantly, stay.
Stay at the scene.
Stay at the scene. Yeah.
Check for injuries. Make sure that you're okay. Do I pull the car off the road? What do I do?
If it's safe to do so and your vehicle is able to do so, yes, you move your vehicle out of the roadway. Limits the possibility of a secondary collision.
How do I know that the driver doesn't think I'm trying to run?
Just talk to him.
Just get out and talk. Wait, I have to talk to somebody?
Don't go the other direction.
Yeah. So make contact, check for injuries, let them know, hey, we're going to move this thing off the roadway. Police are en route. We're going to we're going to do that.
Absolutely, and if the driver's feeling good, check on the other driver. Let them know. This is a pretty shocking experience. For both parties, for anybody,
Sure.
right?
Especially new drivers who are students that just want to get to school.
Exactly.
Probably slept in a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for showing up. I appreciate what you do out there. Traffic safety is obviously on our minds now that we're approaching back to school. Officer Steve Reeves, thank you for joining us, Sarge. Justin Wood, always good to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Let's do this again next year.
Will do.
All right. Want to thank the crew for producing. Thank you, listener, for joining us. And remember, you too can help solve crime in your neighborhood by sending tips to Silent Witness. Visit silentwitness.org or call 480-WITNESS. Follow us on all social media platforms. Like, subscribe, love, smash, hit, whatever. We're hiring. Go to joinphxpd.com. And remember, we're all in this together.